We're about to unlock some pretty powerful ancient wisdom, and it's all about tackling that feeling we all know, a mind that just will not be quiet. So let's just dive right in.
So let me ask you something, and be honest with yourself for a second. On any given day, is your mind more like a calm, peaceful lake, or is it a swirling, chaotic storm? If you're leaning towards storm, trust me, you are not alone. And that is exactly what we're going to talk about.
The good news is we are not the first people to deal with this, not by a long shot. We're going to dive into 3 simple but really profound ancient stories, and each one basically hands us a key to unlock the mental chains of anger, anxiety, and regret.
All right, so let's start with our first key. This one is all about finding what you could call emotional stillness, and it tackles one of the most powerful feelings out there, anger. So picture this. There's a young man, and he's got a problem I think a lot of us can relate to, a super quick temper. His anger was just like a wildfire, right? It was damaging his relationships, and he just felt completely out of control. So, totally fed up, he goes to a wise mentor for some help. Now, what the mentor does is pretty interesting. It's not a big lecture. It's a really simple task. He hands the young man a pot full of muddy water and says, "Okay, stir this up as hard as you can." The young man does it. Then the mentor says, "Now, try to see your reflection." Of course, all he sees is a swirling, brown, chaotic mess. And that's when the mentor drops this incredible piece of wisdom. He explains that our mind is just like that pot of water. When we churn it up with anger, clarity is literally impossible. The solution isn't to fight the mud or try to scoop it out. The solution is to simply stop stirring. You just left the emotion settle all on its own.
Okay, so key number 1 is stillness. But our second key addresses a totally different kind of mental chaos, that constant nagging rush against the clock. This one is the key of patient presence.
So for this story, we made a successful businessman. This guy has it all, but he is just plagued by anxiety. He's always rushing, always worried about the next goal, the next deadline. You know the feeling. He constantly feels like time is just slipping through his fingers. His entire focus is on the future.
So once again, the mentor's solution is a simple, physical task. He tells the man, "Go sit by that flower bud in the garden and just watch it bloom." But here's the crucial part. He's absolutely forbidden from touching it, or trying to help it open, or, force it along. And you can imagine, for a man of action, being told to just sit and wait, well, it was basically torture.
And this just illustrates the lesson so perfectly. The man finally gets it. Some things, like a flower blooming, have their own timetable. And by trying to force the future to get here faster, he wasn't just being impatient. He was completely destroying the beauty and the peace of the present moment that was unfolding right in front of him.
All right, let's recap. We've got stillness for our emotions. We've got presence for our future. Now our third and final key deals with the past. It's all about releasing our burdens.
In this story, we meet a woman who is completely trapped. But she's not trapped by anger or anxiety about what's to come. No, she's trapped by the heavy weight of her past. Regrets, mistakes, they just played on a loop in her mind, and she just could not escape them. So she goes to find a wise man for help.
The wise man gave her a task that, at first, seemed kind of simple. He handed her a heavy stone and said, "Carry this with you all day, but you cannot put it down." At first, it's no big deal. But as the hours dragged on, her arms started to ache, and then it began to throb with some serious pain.
At the end of the day, completely exhausted, she comes back, and the wise man delivers this incredibly powerful lesson. He says the stone's real problem wasn't its weight. The problem was how long she held it. And our past mistakes, our regrets, they're exactly the same. The pain doesn't come from the mistake itself. It comes from our constant refusal to finally just put it down.
So, let's bring all this together. We've got the muddy water, the unfolding flower, the heavy stone. These aren't just neat little stories. They are a practical, honest-to-goodness toolkit for finding some peace of mind.
Here's the big shift we need to make. Our gut instinct is to fight our anger, but the wisdom here tells us to just allow for stillness. We try to force growth and rush the future, but what we really need to do is observe it happening in the present. We think we have to relive our mistakes to learn from them, when the real path to peace is to actually release them.
So let's just map this out real quick. The muddy water represents our emotional reactions. The solution is to just let it settle. The unfolding flower, well, that's our obsession with forcing the future. The solution is to just be present. And the heavy stone is that past we just can't stop holding on to, and our freedom comes when we finally choose to put it down. So there they are, your 3 keys. And they're so simple, but so powerful. Stillness for when that storm of emotion hits. Presence for that constant rush of anxiety. And release for the heavy weight of the past.
Because at the end of the day, the clarity of your mind is really in your hands. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. Right now, in your own life, are you the one stirring the water? Are you impatiently trying to crush the bloom? Or are you still holding on to that heavy stone? The choice to stop, well, that's yours.